All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us for tonight's team call. I'm just going to go through announcements really quick because we have an awesome guest speaker and I want him to talk as much as possible without the entire night being taken up. So real quick, I don't know how that line happens, but it popped up. To Be Mindset is still $20 off. It's ending, I don't know how many days in August, 30, 31, ending pretty soon. The same thing like with the Lift 4 challenge pack sales, 31 days. Okay, so we have one more day than I thought. Same thing with the Lift 4 challenge packs. They're $10 off. It's ending soon. So reach back out, follow up with those people that were interested. Go back, like I'll always go back, to my list, to my contact list. Go back to like your event invites. Go back to your posts from the beginning of the month. See who was interested. Let them know, like, hey, there's, 2 more days, and I don't want you to miss this sale. Like, $20 off. Like, get on it. Especially with those people that have those price objections. Like, well, now's the time, right? Everything else on here kind of has already happened. UK coaches. Final day to qualify, August 31st. I don't think we have many UK coaches. And just to let you guys know, if you haven't already seen, Leah did an awesome post, Leah Lewis. Go to her page. She's going to be doing the 3-day refresh with a couple of the other girls. If you want to throw people into that 3-day refresh group, it's starting September 10th. But go look at Leah Lewis and what she posted. Really quick, simple post to get people interested in the 3-day refresh. You can throw them into the info group, or you can, just send them a video, whatever. You know how to do that stuff, right? But now's the perfect time with Labor Day and everyone's like summer like fluff going on. Great time to get people interested on that 3-day refresh. And that's really all I have to announce. We have an awesome speaker, Brad Bizjack. Some of you might have known him, but he did a call for us, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. It's been that long, but he got us fired up. Brad is a mindset coach. He freaking just gets you on fire. He knows really how to just like speak to you and stop you from just living in your mind and all that BS crap and the old stories you keep telling yourself. He was able to do this for himself and now is teaching other people how to do the same thing. So I know Brad is going to freaking bring it tonight. Brad, super excited. You are on.
All righty, my friend. Can you guys hear me? Give me a nod if you can all hear me. Everything's coming through okay? All right. Well, I am beyond pumped to chat with you guys tonight. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and present to your team, Rose. I absolutely love you guys, and it's just kind of nostalgic, and I don't take this opportunity lightly, and my goal is to bring you just unbelievable amounts of value in this hour that we have here tonight, and to help you master this, to master your mindset, and to get over any of the negative self-talk getting in the way of you becoming the leader that you need to be to achieve incredible things in your life and your business. So let's start with some participation in the Zoom chat here. What is a really big goal that you have? Like, type it into the Zoom chat, a really big goal you have. Maybe you set that goal at Summit. Maybe it's something new. And it doesn't even have to be with Beachbody. Like, what is your big goal that you have in your life right now? Comments in the chat box, and I would love to see what some of those goals are. And the reason for that is because I love that, Rose. Heck yeah. Like, there's a reason that I bring that up. And look at that goal that you're typing in, or like after you type in, look at it. There's a wonderful thing about it. There's a recipe to, Lauren, that's amazing. I love that. Like, there's a recipe to making that happen. Okay, so you know your basic business building behaviors, right? You know all that. Lisa and Rose and the whole team that's like well known within your organization, right? That's your recipe. You already know that. But something that you might miss is the way you go about using the ingredients of that recipe matters. So what does that mean? You could invite 1 billion people to your challenge group or to coaching, but if your mindset is off, you're going to repel them. Or you could have the absolute best training in the world for your team, but if your mindset is off, it won't do anything. In fact, how many of you, raise your hand if you've ever asked the question, why isn't my team doing anything? Have you guys ever said that? Don't lie. If you lie about that, you lie about other shit too, right? You've said, why isn't my team doing anything? Or maybe, why is it so hard to find coaches? Well, you'll begin to learn why on this call. It has to do with you, not them. And I'm going to show you how in just a minute. And you could pour hours and hours and hours into a support group for your clients, but if your mindset is off, they won't feel like you're actually trying to help them. They'll feel like a pawn that you're using, right? So what goes on in your mind, your self-talk, your mindset is by far and above the most important piece of all of it. And you've heard that before. It's one of the vital behaviors, right? You know to do personal development, right? Read a book, right? You know that. You've heard it before, but instead of just knowing it and reading a couple pages, I want to show you how to apply this, especially when you hit a place where you don't want to apply it, when you're in that slump, right? So what this call is about removing negative self-talk, eliminating those voices that get in the way of you becoming the leader that you're meant to become. So speaking of negative self-talk, where does it come from, right? Where does negative self-talk come from? Where do these limiting beliefs that you have come from? A second. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some of those beliefs and we're going to turn them into an amazing tool for your success and for your happiness. So I'm going to share with you a couple stories to show you where my limiting beliefs came from. And then you can kind of see where you relate within those stories. You might not relate to all of it. And then we'll show you how to change it. So growing up, I had an emotional roller coaster of a childhood. And it gave me some pretty screwed up beliefs about how life is. It completely screwed with my idea of success and my belief in my own abilities. And I'm curious, how many of you, raise your hand if you can relate to the topic of money stress? And anyone on this call, even in the past, relate to the topic of money stress, right? Well, I remember growing up, my parents would fight about money almost every single day. There was always a limitation, some form of, we can't afford that, some form of, you spent how much on what? Right? And I remember witnessing these screaming matches between my parents, and I never understood why. And I remember one time, I was probably 10 years old, it was a pretty bad fight between my parents, and they were having a fight about why the bank account was overdrawn. And there were swear words being thrown around from both ends about, like, why do you guys always have to fight about stupid money, right? That's what went on in my head, and I actually vocalized it, right? I said, why do you have to fight about stupid money? And my mom snapped at me. And she told me to shut the F up and go to my room. And right then, my dad came over with a soft soap dispenser and started pouring soap on my mom's neck for talking to us that way, right? For speaking that way in front of us. And my little brother and I were freaking out. We're crying. We're 10 years old and 6 years old. We don't know what to do. We don't know if we should be mad at mom for saying mean things to me, or mad at dad for taking the argument up a level. And that memory was ingrained in my head for the rest of my life. I just hated money because whenever money came up, it seemed like someone was about to get punched in the face. And that never happened. But all the stress around it made me genuinely hate and fear money. And you pair that with weekly overdraft fees and the day-to-day fights and never having a peaceful Christmas or birthday and always saying no to family vacation. Money, I believe you're a horrible person. I believe that it tore relationships apart. In fact, money is the reason that it took me 6 years to propose to her. I was afraid that if we got married and had money, it would rip us apart. And I share that for a reason. I'll get to that in a second. But on top of the money, I had an incredibly turbulent relationship with my mom. How many of you guys have a turbulent relationship with a parent? Raise your hand if you have some sort of a turbulent relationship with a parent, right? I did too. I can totally relate to you guys with that. Now, let me just say, I absolutely love my mom. She's a very good person, deep down, caring, loving. And I've forgiven her for all the pain of my past, all the pain of my childhood growing up. But getting to that point took some time because I was very, very angry with her and I was very, very sad, right? I didn't realize it at the time that she was loving me as much as she possibly could in the only way she knew how at the time, which was her needing complete control and not showing genuine love, right? There's this equation that I love, and that is love over time equals self-worth. Right? That's a really good one to write down. If you receive love over the course of time as a child, you have a sense of self-worth. I didn't have a sense of self-worth growing up. I was always so confused. And I remember this memory like it was yesterday. I'd be laughing or joking on the way home from school in the school bus, and my stop would come. And I would see my house coming from a little bit away, and I'd get all nervous and uncomfortable. And the bus driver would pull up, and I'd take my blue backpack and I'd walk, across the grass to the garage door. I'd type in the little pin code, and boom, I'd be instantly hit with this smell of cigarette smoke. And I walked in the door and I'd see my mom playing her computer, right hand on the mouse, left hand on a cigarette. And sometimes I wouldn't get a hello. Sometimes I get greeted with a hug. But most times it was shut the hell up and go to your room. You know, sometimes it's getting screamed at. And I was so confused, right? I remember thinking to myself growing up, what do I have to do for my mom to love me, right? Why doesn't she love me? And obviously she did. There was just no consistency. And as a kid, you don't know what to think, but that's just one example. The point is I grew up craving love. I grew up craving acceptance from others and never quite feeling like I was enough. That was a huge limiting belief of mine, that I never felt worthy. I never felt like I deserved someone loving me for me. And that screwed with how I lived my life. I'd be like a chameleon. I'd change who I was depending on the peer group that I was in just to feel accepted. And I always wanted, oh my gosh, because I didn't feel love growing up, I always wanted to be the center of attention. I always wanted to be up on stage because it made me feel some sort of value and worth when smiling eyes were actually on me. So I never felt like I was enough. And you might have a different story, but where can you relate? What limiting beliefs or belief do you have now because of something that's ingrained in your head from years ago that you haven't forgiven or forgotten yet? Like in your notebook, you don't have to share it on here if you don't want to, but maybe share what is that limiting belief for you. Is it that you never felt like you were enough for your parents? It was that you believe money's bad. Is it that you don't believe you're going to amount to anything? What is that limiting belief for you? Because when you're little, you're really impressionable. And it's in those times where your belief about yourself and your abilities start to take shape. So the reason I bring all this up is because when I started my business 5 years ago, it didn't matter how many people I invited. It didn't matter how many social media posts I put up. It didn't matter how many team calls I created for my team. It didn't matter how much content or trainings I did for my team. It didn't matter. It was always the same. My team wasn't growing to match the effort that I was putting in. And I was always like, I always had that thought, dude, why aren't you doing this? You have all the tools you need. Or why aren't people saying yes to me? And on top of that, my bank account was always overdrafting. My paychecks were a couple $100 a week at the most. And I had all this perceived success because I was that chameleon, right? But I was just skating by. And I remember seeing that red font show up on chase.com showing that I was overdrafted by 49 cents, that red font, right? How many of you are familiar with the red font on chase.com, right? So I had to figure out how to fix that. And I went on this astronomically huge journey of changing my life. I went on a journey of getting through those limiting beliefs, getting over negative self-talk, the negative self-talk that was getting in the way of my leadership ability. So I went on a journey of becoming the entrepreneur and, more importantly, the person that I was meant to be. And that journey led me to what I do now, teaching people how to do the same thing, creating my Program Appreciation Academy. That program is how I became the leader I was meant to become. That's how I changed my life. So why do I tell you all that? Because when you try to build a business, if you have overwhelming negative self-talk in your head, if you have lack of belief, and these obstacles that you don't even realize exist, stopping you in your tracks, you're not going to get anywhere no matter how hard you work. So like we talked about, I created a system to overcome it, and we don't have time to go through that whole system in a 1-hour call. But if you take this call seriously with the points I'm going to bring up in just a minute, and you'll learn 3 of the major things that I took to exploding my leadership abilities. So write this down. Your thoughts are always the reason. Your thoughts are always the reason. The first thing you can do is to literally rewire the way that you think. You've heard that, right? Change your thinking, change your life. You read that in personal growth books. But what do I mean? I mean literally rewiring how this thing works, right? Because you start to tell yourself these stories, right? Money is bad. Building a team is hard. My teammates won't do anything. It's so much easier for Rose or for Lisa or for Bob. And if you say it enough, you start to believe it, right? How many times have you been at a party, like growing up, or a high school party, or even in college, or even like with friends in the neighborhood, where you're at a party and you share this story one time, this funny story one time, and you add these little details of it to make it sound cooler than it actually is, right? And you get some laughs, and then the next time you come back, you share that story again, only you say those little extra details with more conviction, and now it's down the road, and you're sharing this story at a party of things that you don't even know what's true and what's not anymore, just so you can be cool, right? That's how limiting beliefs work. Do you guys know what I'm talking about, or am I crazy, right? That is how limiting beliefs work, only instead of it being a fun party topic, it's something that you believe with so much conviction that it sabotages your life. And those are disempowering beliefs, your default software. So if you go through life believing those bullshit stories, it creates inner conflict, and it changes the way that you lead your life and your business. So raise your hand if you sometimes feel like you're forcing people to do things. How many of you feel like you're forcing people to do things on your team, right? Like, have you done your invites today? Have you posted on social media today? Whatever it is, right? If you feel that way, I can guarantee that it comes from your beliefs about your own leadership ability. How many of you have ever been sitting there on the couch just wondering why things aren't growing, and you're working really hard and you have no freaking clue how to fix it? And your only advice is just keep working, it'll happen. Then you find yourself 3 months later, stagnant in dollar volume, stagnant in rank, maybe not to emerald yet or to diamond yet. Your paychecks are the same or less, or not having nearly as much growth as you feel you deserve. To change this, you need to believe that you're enough. You need to believe that you're actually worthy, that you're important. You have to believe that you're an amazing leader. And that's hard, especially when evidence of your business is saying that you're not, right? That's really, really tough. How many of you secretly don't actually believe that you're enough to achieve your dreams? What do I mean by that? Like, think about this. Like, you can change these beliefs, first of all, by having better questions. But have you ever faced a point in your life where you're trying to convince yourself that you're good enough or you deserve something great? Maybe you write down a list of goals, right? Earn $300,000 by June 3rd, 2019. Become diamond rank by December 31st, 2018. Whatever it is, you write down these goals on a sheet of paper. And it'd be so freaking cool to hit those goals. It'd be amazing. It would change your life. It'd be amazing. But the second you write it down, there's that little voice that goes, ha! Right? Like, laughs at you and says, no way, dude. There's no way you're going to do it, right? Or you put a dream house on a vision board, right? And it'd be amazing to have that dream house, but there's that little devil that says, yeah, right, dude. No way that's happening. Do you know what I'm talking about, or am I crazy, right? He's right back there just whispering doubt and insignificance into your subconscious mind. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you want to believe these big goals, but you don't believe these big goals. You can change these limiting beliefs by asking better questions. Better questions eliminate negative self-talk. Better questions explode your business and your life. Better questions change your bank account. Better questions change your entire life. You have to change that thinking, right? And I can't share all of it in 1 hour, but I can give you a couple amazing tools to do it. So if you want to change that thinking, first, what is thinking? Thinking is nothing more than the process of asking yourself a question. That's thinking, right? That's what it is. So if you focus on asking yourself really, really bad questions, you're going to get really bad answers. If you focus on asking really great questions, you're going to get really great answers. See, the mistake I made is I just thought I had to work harder, right? And yes, you have to work your ass off if you want this to work, but there's a point where you're pulling 12-hour days and nothing's happening, and you know that it's you. There's something in you that says, there's something in here that I'm not getting, right? When you have that gut feeling, you're focused. Let's do an exercise right now. Look around the room, count the number of things in the room that you can find right now that are any shade of red. Ready, go. Count them. Look for red, 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 count them. Look for red. How many things you find that are red? Look for red, 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 look for red. Good. How many things did you find that were blue? Probably none, right? But now, look around the room for everything you can find that's blue. Look for blue. Look around. How many more things are you finding that's blue? Look for blue. Any shade of blue. Look for 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 blue. How many more things did you find? You probably even saw some green things and rationalized that they were blue so you would feel successful, right? Like, that's what we do, right? And maybe you're in a room right now that doesn't have either of those colors, but you get the point. How many of you have ever been in the market for a car? And the second you decide you want to buy a 2013 or 14 Ford Fusion, you see Ford Fusions everywhere. Do you know what I'm talking about, right? All of a sudden, they're everywhere. Were those Ford Fusions missing before? Or were they always there? You just weren't looking for them, right? So there's a reason I bring this up. When you focus on what you don't want, or you're looking for red, right? focusing on what you don't want, negative, disempowering questions, those are the seeds of doubt and skepticism and pain that prevent you from living a great life. And those thoughts grow in your mind like weeds, and you don't even realize that blue is everywhere. You just focus on how shitty things are. Jim Rohn has an amazing quote, and that is, stand guard at the gates of your mind or weeds will grow automatically. So let's focus on this right now. Ask yourself this question. Close your eyes and say to yourself, actually do this, close your eyes and ask yourself, why am I not enough to build an amazing business? Ask those words to yourself. Why am I not enough to build an amazing business? And listen to all the answers that start pouring out of you. Right? This is looking for red. Any version of this is looking for red. How motivated do you feel? You can open your eyes. How motivated do you feel when you focus on how hard it is to grow a business, or why you're not enough to grow a business? When you look for red, are you going to be motivated? Are you going to be empowered? Are you going to feel like a true leader? No, not at all, right? And even when you read happy, motivational, inspirational, positive thinking books, you still have that voice that says you're not enough, right? And I shared a couple stories a minute ago about where my red came from. What red are you looking for, right? Because guess what? Blue is everywhere. You're probably just not looking for it. So there's this thing in your brain called the reticular activating system. Like, this is scientific, proven, right? There's this thing in your brain called the reticular activating system, right? And it filters out all the shit that you aren't looking for. So if you focus on how business is so hard to build, or how it's so hard to recruit coaches, or how it's so hard to hit Emerald in 2 days, or whatever it is, you're filtering out all the reasons, all the blue, all the Ford Fusions, however you want to look at it. You're filtering out all the blue on why you can't. And you're only focusing on why you can't. And when you focus on why you can't, guess what happens? You can't, right? So think about this. Raise your hand if you've ever had any of these thoughts. Do any of these thoughts sound somewhat familiar to you, whether past or present? Why isn't my team doing anything? Why can't I get it right? Why don't people want to join me? How come I always mess it up? Why is it so hard to lose weight? Why am I so broke? Why do I never catch a break? Why does it always seem so much easier for other people? Why can't I do anything right? Will I always be this stuck? Those are looking for red. And it doesn't feel very good to ask yourself those questions, right? I bet it leads to a lot of pain, a lot of inaction, a lot of procrastination, and you're sitting there looking at your life, frustrated with the results you're getting. And no matter how much Rose speaks life into you and tells you that you can have success with your business, and no matter how many people tell you they believe in you, and no matter how many times you see other people like you achieving amazing things, there's still that little voice that says, no, you can't. Do you know what I'm talking about, or am I crazy? Right? You know what I'm talking about, right? So when you set a goal, your dominant beliefs will determine if that goal comes true. And if you're looking for red, that's you basically saying, I don't want my goals to come true, right? So setting goals is nothing more than trying to create a new reality as opposed to your current reality. That's goal setting, right? That's what it is. So you're trying to change that reality. The gap in the middle is how you talk to yourself, right? So if you want to get from point A to point B, the way you talk has to change. You have to start looking for blue. And until that language is consistently, and I keyword consistently, it's not going to change overnight, until that language is consistently empowering, you're going to find yourself struggling to hit your goals. And I know this because I lived it, right? Lisa and Rose are right there with me when I was going through this, right? So let's just use the limiting belief of, why isn't my team growing? Ask yourself that question right now. Why isn't my team growing? Or if you're new, use the question, why is it so hard to hit Emerald, right? Like, ask yourself that question. What happens? Did you notice that your brain was actually looking for the answer, right? Even if you're successful and you ask yourself, why isn't my team growing? You start to question yourself. That's how insidious negative self-talk really is. Something you need to understand is that your entire life can be changed by asking yourself more empowering questions. Your brain is like a Google search engine, and it will answer whatever you type into your search bar. So what if you intentionally reversed it? If your response is like a Google search engine, that means that whatever you type in, you're going to get an answer, right? So instead of looking for red, why don't you type in something that looks for blue, right? Why don't you change what you type into your mental Google? because your brain is looking for what you're asking it 100% of the time anyways. So you might as well be smart and ask an intelligent question that's going to lead to a better life, right? So asking, why is it so hard to build my team? What does your brain do? Finds all the reasons why it's hard to build a business, and that's what you focus on. So you never find the answer to your biggest challenges. So when you sit down to work, your brain is literally looking for every reason why you're not capable. So you don't send the invites, you scroll Facebook. So you don't support your clients, you wonder why more aren't messaging you. You don't support your teammates in the best way possible, you try to check in with them like your mom would the first week of college. And you make sure that they're doing everything right. They're doing their invites, right? You try to force them to act. And here's what's crazy. If you were to switch it and look for blue, there are amazing people and opportunities and situations that stumble across your life every freaking day to learn and to grow. But because your software is running on the question of why is it so hard, looking for red, self-sabotage steps in and you won't even notice the person on that park bench that has high blood pressure. You won't notice your neighbor next door that doesn't know how they're going to pay for their kids' college. You won't notice all these amazing opportunities sitting right in front of you. So we need to change this up. Ask yourself this question right now. Close your eyes. Ask yourself this. Why is it so easy to empower my team to create an amazing life? Or why is it so easy to change thousands of lives? Ask yourself that question. Did you notice, open your eyes, did you notice that you still looked for an answer? You still look for an answer. Even if it's not true right now that your team's moving, you still look for an answer. And even if you're brand new, you find all the reasons why you can do this. So ask yourself this, why is it so easy to hit emerald tomorrow? Right? Ask yourself that question. Why is it so easy to hit emerald tomorrow? Your brain starts focusing on how, oh, it's only 2 people. Oh, I can ask John, I can ask Susie, I can whoever it is, right? You still look for the answer. Ask, why is it so easy to rank advanced this month? Whatever it is, you still look for the answer. And you start to focus on the opportunities, the people you could reach out to, the sacrifices you could make to build your business. Can you imagine if you fill your mind with this every single day, right? This is just one step of that system I was telling you about. Imagine that though. And here's the key. You don't need to have the answer to every question that you ask. You just need to live in the question that leads you to the life you want. Because when you're in the right state of mind and you know what you want, you know what blue is, and you know the direction you want to go, the how is going to reveal itself. You don't need to know how. You'll learn in Coach Basics or whatever it is. You'll figure out how. The how will reveal itself, but live in an empowering question that will change your life. Every problem you face is simply this. It's simply a question that hasn't been answered yet. That's what a problem is. It's a question that you haven't answered yet. So what if you flip those questions write down, after this call, write down all the negative shit you ask yourself all the time. Why am I so broke? Why is my business not growing? Why am I stuck? Why am I so fat? Why is my husband so annoying? Whatever it is. And go through and write down all the, I like that, Russ. Write down all the disempowering questions. And I want you to flip those questions on their head. So what does that mean? Turn those questions into, why is it so easy to blank? Why am I so wealthy? Why is my business booming? Why is it so easy to lead my team? Or why am I such a great leader? The 2 questions that changed my entire life are, why am I so kind to myself? And why am I worthy of living such an amazing life? Guys, life gets 100% easier when you're just 1% nicer to yourself. That might be one you want to write down. Life gets 100% easier when you're just 1% nicer to yourself. So if you take these new empowering questions and you put them on post-its over your house, literally it's all in this thing. So think about this. If you pull in your driveway from work and there's a post-it note on your dash that says, why is it so easy to fall in love with my spouse again today? Are you going to change the way you walk in that door? Or why is it so easy to be a great mom? Are you going to change the way you walk in that door? Right? What if in the fridge you have, why is it so easy to live a healthy lifestyle? Are you going to reach for the spinach or the Nutella? Right? Right? So think about that. You're going to make healthier choices. What if you recorded these and listened to them overnight while you sleep? What if you reprogram your mind? Disclaimer, don't choke yourself with a headphone cord. But like think about this. What if you reprogram your mind and flood it with empowering questions? That is literally just one of the steps I took to rewire the negative self-talk in my head. Your life will change if you do this. I promise you. This is one of the things that changed my entire life. You're planting new thought seeds and you're watering them daily with a question. And all of a sudden, you stopped watering the disempowering plants and you let those weeds die in your garden. And now the only plants that you water are the flowers. And within less time than you think, your garden is gorgeous, right? And it's blooming with so many colors and plants, and it's giving your life oxygen again. Is this one little mindset strategy helpful? Do you think you can apply this to your life and your business? Yes? Let's move on to the second one. Okay, so your problem, this is a big point. Your problem is not the problem. How you face the problem is the problem. Okay? Your problem is not the problem. How you face the problem is the problem. So when you are so emotionally attached to a goal coming true, you actually start to push it away. Okay? When you're so emotionally attached to a goal coming true, you actually start to push it away. I don't mean having an empowering and driven why. That's not what I mean. But when you make it to where your self-worth is dependent on an outcome, you push that goal away. Don't take this to mean that you shouldn't be excited or passionate about goals. I mean when your happiness is dependent on hitting a goal, you're making that goal harder to achieve. How many of you have ever said, I'll be happy once I hit diamond. I'll be happy once I hit 2-star. I'll be happy once my paychecks hit these points. I'll be happy once I rank advance, whatever it is, right? If you've ever done that, you're actually pushing your goal further away. Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you push, it feels like your goals are evading you? Like they're just out of reach every single time? It's because you have a mindset of this absolutely must happen, and then I will allow myself to feel fulfilled. When you think that way and you come up short, which by the way, sometimes you're going to come up short when you reach for big goals. Just happens, right? But when you think that way and you're so attached, how do you feel when it's an absolutely must happen, or you're screwed if you don't, or you can't be happy until X? How do you feel when you don't get to a goal, right? It feels like your self-worth takes a little bit of a hit. It feels like you're not good enough. It feels like you feel miserable. And it leads to a lot of self-sabotage and getting into a slump. And it leads to compounding negative self-talk. All these negative stories start bottling up in your head, and they become amplified, saying you're not good enough. And so you start to believe that you're a bad leader and that you're not capable and that you're not worthy. When you try to build a business that way, isn't it incredibly overwhelming and intense and stressful to try to solve all that shit, right? Like trying to overcome all those demons. It feels insurmountable. It feels impossible to solve all that, right? Because you don't even know where to begin. You have no idea how to solve it. It feels defeating. So you start to accept it as truth when it's a load of BS, right? When you can learn to see your challenges in your business and your life as an objective question that you're on a mission to solve, instead of seeing your challenges as being responsible for your emotional well-being, those challenges get way easier. Huge important note here. And this is the entire focus of Appreciation Academy. Business and success do not cause happiness. That's something to understand. Business, money, success, more time, that does not cause happiness. Happiness causes those things. Happiness causes business success. Happiness and appreciation for the journey you're on and appreciation for the challenge you're experiencing is how you overcome the challenge. Most people have it the opposite way. They say, I'll be happy when. No, you be happy now, and that's how you solve it. Most people don't get that. I didn't, right? And that's one of the main reasons I stayed stuck. You don't need to find the answer because the journey you're on is the answer. So write this down. Seeing your current good is the fastest way to that is the fastest way to never achieve your dreams. Like if you're God, the universe, whatever you believe in, and someone wants more, if you're that person, are you going to give more to someone who bitches about having less? Right? Like think about that. Like logically, step into the common sense corner for a second, right? Like it doesn't make sense, right? So the only way to achieve what you want, that more feeling, whatever it is already appreciate the life that you have. And what's awesome about this one skill is that it makes it so you don't have to work nearly as hard for exponentially better results. Because instead of slamming on the gas to get to your destination as fast as possible, just saying, I gotta get there, gotta get there, gotta get there, and you're swerving in and out of cars, you finally realize that's all that's been wrong this entire time is just that your emergency brake is on. That's it, right? So to go further faster, you don't need to push down harder on that gas pedal. You just need to release the emergency brake. See, most people try to climb the mountain of success, saying that like having this big goal, right? Like the goals that you guys put in here, leave your full-time job to stay home with Beachbody Lauren, or replace your income from your day job, Aubrey. Like we have these big goals on this mountaintop, right? Saying, I'll be happy when I can get there. And we're so dissatisfied with our current job, with our current bank account, our current situation. And you put your dream at the top of that mountain. The only problem is that when you live that way and you're so constricted by that goal, it's the same thing as trying to climb Everest with a blindfold on. Because when you're climbing a mountain, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, lots of legs burning, lots of detours. You're probably going to need a lot of Energize, right? And when that blindfold is on, it's going to take a hell of a lot longer to get to that goal, and you'll probably never get there, right? What if you just took the blindfold off and appreciate all the beauty around you as you go, right? What if you take water breaks when you need to? What if you appreciate the scenery of the climb on the way to that goal? What if you enjoy the hike to get to the top? All of a sudden, every part of that hike becomes beautiful, and the top becomes so much more rewarding, and it's way easier to get to because you can see the path. You know, okay, I got to go down a little bit, and I'm going to see all these grizzly bears and all this scenery in the distance. It's going to be beautiful and amazing, and then I'm going to go up the steep hill and all these switchbacks. That's how I'm going to get there, because you took that blindfold off and you actually start enjoying the hike and the process of getting there. When you're in a state of this absolutely must happen, and I won't allow myself to be happy until it does, how does that come off to your team? How does that come off in your social media posts? How does that affect your invites and the way you talk to your prospects? And even more importantly, how does that affect your relationship with your husband or wife or kids, right? When you're trying to build a business that way, guess what? It's not working. It's not gonna work, right? So what if you let it go? What if you just chill and be okay either way and happy either way? What if you take that blindfold off and decide to love the ups and the downs, decide to love the valleys and the peaks? What if you become committed to your big goal on top of that hill, committed to reaching the top of that mountain, and committed to loving the climb to get there? What if you go on this hike for the experience of hiking, not just the summit? Wouldn't you be much more relaxed? Wouldn't you be much happier, more fulfilled, less hurt by challenges? What if you were committed to your dreams instead of so attached to them that you'll only be happy once you achieve them? And what if every single day you worked hard because you love the person you're becoming instead of only being happy when you get results? What if you did it for the growth instead of the outcome? What if you did it to become a better leader, a better person? What if you did it for the climb and not the peak? How would you look at challenges in your leadership? How would you empower your team? Would you come from a place of forcing them to do their invites or leading the way and setting the example? How would you invite differently, right? Would you just copy and paste a bunch of messages to get a bunch of people on board? Would you inspire and love and care and support? Would you give yourself a break if you live that way? Because in your business, when you operate that way, if someone says no, someone quits, you get a return order, it takes longer to get up and running than you thought, right? But if you're in that attachment phase, what if you just love that scenery on the mountain that you were experiencing? And what if you just loved how much it was helping you grow? What if you did it for the growth? All of a sudden, a cancellation, a return order, whatever it is, becomes pretty amazing, right? It's just the same thing as going down a hill or seeing a grizzly bear in the distance, because you learn from something instead of hate. Your business becomes exponentially easier to build, right? You know that feeling that you have in your heart where you feel like you're forcing things all the time and you're not getting nearly enough results for the effort you're putting in? Sure, there's that way in the beginning of your business, absolutely. But when that consistently happens, there's a reason. What if all that went away? Right? What if you become alive again? And what if your energy becomes contagious again? Right? How would your life change? Living this way makes success easier. So like I said, I can't get into the system of how to do that on a 1-hour call, but I can give you one final tip that makes getting there so much easier. So you guys, Rose, am I good for one more? One more tip? Okay, awesome. You're like, yes. Okay, cool. So I call this the secret sauce. Okay. You might know this as genuine gratitude. Okay. And this might seem far-fetched, but it's real. Write this down. It is impossible to feel pain when you are deeply grateful. Impossible. Because in life, you're going to experience pain. You're going to. It's going to happen. Pain in life is guaranteed. It's coming. But suffering from that pain is your choice. It is up to you, and it is an option. Okay? I don't mean gratitude where you just say, yeah, I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I mean where you feel genuine gratitude. Because gratitude attracts people to you. Right? They want to be part of your life when you're grateful for the life you already have. But when you complain about the life you already have, when it's not good enough because your results are sitting on that mountain peak, you push people away. But when you're grateful, opportunities and things and situations, solutions come to you so much faster because you're grateful for what you already have. You attract the most amazing things to your life when you appreciate the life you already live. So think about this. You're watching a video on a computer or a phone from the UK or Canada or the US, anywhere in the world really. You're probably on a couch in a safe apartment or house. You probably have a cozy blanket on right now. You probably are wondering what you're gonna have for date night on Friday. You're probably gonna drive your car to your job tomorrow and pull into that parking spot for a company where you make a great living to provide for your family. You might take your kids to the doctor tomorrow to get medical care. You might take your dog to the vet to get treated for hot spots on his arm, right? And you'll probably turn on Apple TV tonight and watch Friends or New Girl or Breaking Bad or some movie, right? And probably The Devil Wears Prada, I don't know. And all of that, most of us take for granted when there is a mother out there who just watched her baby starve to death today. Think about that. When there are people out there injecting needles into their arm to cope with pain. When there are countries that still live in communism, right? Like, you're so accustomed to the miracles happening around you every single day that you don't even see them as miracles anymore. Most of you probably view miracles as scarce and don't appreciate how literally everything around you was once just a thought or an idea. This computer or phone you're watching on was once an idea. Your team, Rose, once had an idea. That's it, an idea, which proves that you can create miracles any second, just like she did, right? A lot of us have the tendency to let go of gratitude and make it a rule that we can only feel grateful if something happens, if we get to that peak, right? Just like we talked about a few minutes ago. And that is setting yourself up for suffering. Nothing, this is important, nothing has to happen for you to feel good about your life. Nothing. And as long as you structure your life in a way where your happiness is dependent upon something you can't completely control, then you will never be fully fulfilled in the way that you desire. Even if you have a ton of success, you could be winning at life and feel like you're losing because the scorecard you're using is unfair because it only allows you to feel happy if something happens. And this is going to be hard to hear because a lot of you are achievers, but achievement without gratitude is complete and total failure. Achievement without gratitude is complete and total failure. If you live in the US or Canada, and you're in the bottom 1% of those countries, the bottom 1%, you're in the top 1% of the world. If you get what you consider a crappy paycheck at your job, that is the best of the best, right? You are breathing, you are alive, that should be enough to smile about. If you have a crappy boss, that should be enough to smile about because you live here, right? And when you're smiling, business becomes easier because people want to be part of you. Lots of you have these incredibly high expectations of your spouse, your kids, your team, your volume, your sales. And when your current conditions of your life don't align with those expectations of how life should be, you get really frustrated, right? Almost like you have these rules of what might need to happen in order to be successful. Because you conduct yourself in business in a different way, in a more negative way. I challenge you to let that go. Gratitude needs to be regular practice, like true gratitude. I'm going to show you how in just a second, in just one way, but there are multiple ways to do it. And I don't mean, like I said, the BS, yay, I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I mean real gratitude that I'll show you in a second. So your view of life literally determines your future. So every single day, condition your mind to focus on being grateful, and slowly the overwhelm, the anxiety, the depression, the fear, the negative self-talk, you're not going to notice it as much, and you're going to become excited about every single day. I went through a period of time where I knew what I wanted so bad, but I'd find myself on the couch binge watching TV, having these bad days, right? Like 4 days a week. And it was terrible. I was just depressed, and even worse, I was pissed off that I was depressed. I was immobilized. I knew exactly what I needed to do. Like my computer was staring at me, right? But I just didn't give a shit, right? But I cared so much at the same time, and it hurt. And from practicing gratitude, the type I'll show you in a second, those negative bouts of depression and anxiety started to happen less frequently. Then it was once a week, then it was once every couple weeks, then it was once every month, then it was once every 3 months, then 6 months, right? And now my default setting from rewiring this is genuine happiness. And that came from starting this type of learning, appreciation before success, before or when I didn't want to be there, when I didn't want to feel that way, when I was in the negative states. And yes, there are still days once in a blue moon where I get the whole woe is me. I'm human, right? And that happens to everyone, right? But now I have a skill that can get out of it in 2 minutes. And in fact, what I learned from one of my mentors, a combination of Tony Robbins, Brendon Burchard, a bunch of people, is that gratitude can solve your business problems or lead you to the answer in literally 2 minutes. Every situation in your life, you can solve it or lead yourself toward the solution, have direction in 2 minutes using gratitude. And I'm going to show you how. This is something I've adopted from multiple personal growth leaders. I cannot take credit for this, but I've taken it from them and kind of made it my own. So get somewhere where you can allow yourself to feel vulnerable for a second. And like close out the other tabs. If you got TV on, close it out. If you have Facebook open, whatever it is, if you're on Messenger, close it out. Allow yourself to be emotional for literally just 2 minutes, or else this exercise will not work and you won't see how you can use this for your business. So close your eyes. Everyone on the call, close your eyes, unless you're driving. That'd be a bad idea, right? Close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, picture a situation in your life or your business that stresses you out on a scale of 1 to 10, 7, 8, or higher. And picture that stressful situation for a second. And think of all the shit that comes from it, right? Just think of the negativity piling on. Think of how annoying it is to face it. Think of how you can't solve that problem and how frustrating it is. And think about the pain that you experience because of that problem. Does everyone have a negative situation? Raise your hand if you have your negative situation. Okay, keep your eyes closed. And literally don't open your eyes again until I literally say open your eyes. Keep them closed. Take a deep breath in your nose and exhale out your mouth. And take a second and put both hands on your heart. Literally do it. Put both hands on your heart. Physically feel your heart. And take a deep breath into your heart. Imagine air actually flowing into it. And feel the power of it. Feel the beat of it. Your heart beats 100,000 times a day without you having to work for it. As long as that thing beats, you live. It's a gift. You didn't have to work for your heart. You didn't have to buy it. God, the universe, whatever you believe in, thought enough of you to give you this gift of life the second you were born. So take a second while breathing deep in your heart and just feel so grateful that this thing is even beating right now, that you have this gift of life, and feel that gratitude for a second and just stack it on your heart and feel so grateful for this life that you live. And with your hands on your heart and your eyes closed, go back to a moment in your life, a memory at any point, any stage, at any time that you can feel so grateful for. Was it when you got married? Was it when you had your first kiss? What's that memory for you? Go back to it right now. Step into that moment like you're there. Relive that memory. Breathe the same way you did then. Feel the same emotions you felt then. And relive that experience for a second. Just imagine everything's the same as it was back then. And just feel so incredibly grateful for that beautiful memory in your life and stack on that gratitude to your heart and breathe into your heart and just feel that gratitude stacked on top. And now pick a second memory. It can be a moment today. It can be 10 years ago. What's a second memory for you that you can go back to and just feel so grateful for? And same thing, instead of seeing it from the outside, go back and relive that memory. Breathe the same way you did then. Feel the same emotions you felt then. Relive it right now like you're there, like you see him right in front of you, whatever it is. Relive that experience for a second and just feel so grateful and appreciate that moment for a second in your life. What did that lead to in your life? How do you feel now because of that? Where is your life because of that moment? And keep your eyes closed, and now, with all that gratitude stacked on top of each other, think of a coincidence in your life. What's a coincidence in your life that you can be grateful for? You were in line at Starbucks and you met the love of your life. This girl messaged you on Facebook and now your life changed forever, right? Like, what is a coincidence in your life that you can feel so deeply grateful for? And just appreciate that coincidence for a second. You didn't know it was going to lead to this, but it did. What's a coincidence in your life that you can feel so grateful for? And think of what it led to, because it's really beautiful when you realize that life is always happening for you and not to you. And take a second and just feel so grateful that happened, and breathe into your heart and feel the gratitude from all these experiences. Feel it stacked on top of each other, this amazing gift of a heart that you have. Feel that gratitude. Stack on that first memory, stack on that second memory, stack on that coincidence, and feel all this overwhelming gratitude in your heart. And just appreciate it for a second and well up with that amazing feeling. And right now, you are in what's called an absolutely beautiful state of mind. And with your eyes remaining closed and your hands on your heart, think back to that stressful moment you thought about a second ago. And just repeat these words to yourself. In this situation, all I have to do is blank. In this situation, all I need to say is blank. In this situation, all I have to become is blank. And when you live in gratitude, when you really think this way, your heart already knows the answers to the most challenging problems that you have. Open your eyes. Did you just find direction? Even direction, not even the answer, just direction to your stressor in 2 minutes using gratitude? Did you find direction? Some sort of, I have guidance in this. Because your heart knows the answer all the time. It knows the right direction to take. That's how much gratitude can be used as a business tool to build your business and life to the size of your dreams, right? If you focus on the stressor of not rank advancing, and you go through this gratitude exercise and you focus on all I need to do is just ask people to change their life. All I need to say is, hey, you can do this, right? This is how it can eliminate negative self-talk on a day-to-day basis. That's just one of the techniques that I teach to eliminate negative self-talk, just one. But the reality is, you have one shot in this life. Most people go through life trying to stay safe and never really going for it, right? You are not that person. Life could change at any moment. The reality is you have one chance in this world, but that clock on life is ticking, and at any moment of time, it could run out. You don't control, this is important, you do not control the length of your life, but you do control its depth and its meaning. You were not put here to experience mediocrity. You were meant to take your pain and make it mean something, to empower yourself to grow. I took the pain of my childhood and turned it into a tool to helping you overcome that pain, right? To help you overcome the BS getting in the way of your potential. You have pain that you can use for greatness too. So as we close, you just have to learn how to harness it, because you were put here to feel fully alive every second of every day. And you are exactly where you need to be to learn what you need to learn, to live the life you're meant, that you're challenge. And life will keep giving you more challenging lessons if you don't open your eyes to the lesson it's trying to teach you right now. The life you're living right this second is the answer to your challenge. And when you see when you see life that way, and you're grateful for the lessons that you learn, You're grateful for the challenges that you face. You detach from that outcome. Amazing things will start to happen. And instead of just knowing that, all you have to do to radically change your life is just to make this part of your life. All you have to do is take this feeling right now and practice it. And when you do that, game over. You began that process today, and I'm so proud of you guys for actually playing all out on this call and not BSing it. So if you found this valuable in any way, connect with me. Reach out on Facebook. Head to bradbizjack.com. There's free resources there. If you found really deep connection with what I talked about, check out Appreciation Academy. I'm not trying to sell you something, but this is just the top level. We barely scratched the surface, right? So if you felt something real from this talk, and almost like I was peering into what is in your head right now, and you felt like this talk was onto something that could change your life forever, head to appreciationacademy.com and you will be really glad that you did. So thank you, Rose, for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I love you guys, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. But back to you, my friend. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Brad. That's awesome. And I always forget, because I went to Tony Robbins and we did that. I forget, what is that called? Like where he like plays the music and it makes you cry. Priming, yeah. Guys, like that stuff, I know it seems like so silly, and I laughed at it like the first few times. And like just doing that reminded me, like, oh, like why don't I like do that? Like this stuff definitely works if you do it. But that's the thing, is like we think it's so silly, or we're like, like we'll do that like some other time. But it's just like inviting and all those types of things is doing and being in this mindset consistently. That really does make a difference. So Brad, thank you so much for kind of reminding me, and hopefully everyone on this call and learning something new if you haven't already known that kind of stuff. But yeah, head over. You could always reach Brad, send him a message, check out his website. And if you guys, anyone have any questions?
I don't buy it, I promise.
No, Brad is freaking cool as heck. Going once, going twice. Brad, you're the best. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me, Rose. I really appreciate the opportunity. Have an amazing night, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.